What's up, everyone? My name is Mistic, and welcome to Mistic Reacts. Today we're reacting to another video by Casually Explained, The Political Compass, which is surprising. I didn't think he would ever really cover this kind of topic, because he said to someone a few years ago that he didn't really want to cover this thing. So I can only hope that that person will be maybe in the video. If you know, you know. Make sure to check out him down below. This is slightly newer than the videos of his I usually watch. It's about a month ago, so not the newest, but not the oldest we've looked at. But let's get into it. Yeah.
Daily. Although there are almost 350 million Americans, there are really only two political parties, and despite what the name would imply, neither one's very fun at all. This political division means you don't get any nuance in policy, and instead you either vote on which person you hate the least, or just pick one or two things you absolutely don't want someone to mess up, and then you compromise anyway. While most people are not too familiar with the political compass, they have heard the term left.
I would be somewhere here. We'll see.
Left and right. You might have seen a spectrum like this in civics class, and they taught you some vague theory.
I will say I do not consider myself like a liberal or Democrat. I would probably say socialist. So
Theory about reactionaries versus radicals, or social reform versus conservatism, but this is pretty meaningless to most people. In reality, when someone asks if you're on the left or right in America, what they want to know is how many digits of the pride flag you've memorized. Even the most far left and far right extremes have more in common than you might think. For example, they both share the same common weakness: follow-up questions. Take people on the far left, they all make the same mistake, which is waking up one day, doing absolutely no research, and then thinking there's no way that Ben Shapiro will have heard this one before. Similarly, if you take someone on the far right who says, "I believe that white people are superior to the other races," the obvious follow-up is asking if this is their sample group. The reality is that just left or right doesn't capture the full nuance of someone's political beliefs. If you're a fiscal conservative who believes that government debt represents an inability to provide future public programs, the left lumps you in with the people who stormed the Capitol. If you're a liberal who believes that investment into nuclear is the future of clean energy, the right lumps you in with the people who think that the hard counter to fracking is a heartfelt land acknowledgement. The political compass introduces a bit more nuance because while you still have a left and right, you can flesh out what you believe about both economic and social policy, and more importantly, see how your beliefs relate to other people.
Let me see if I...
To give the
Okay, so Wall Street bets. Why is Delphine on there? Kim Jong-un. Who is that guy? That is Guy Fieri. Let's go. Okay. Let's go.
theme: as you move up the compass, you prefer big government. As you move down, you prefer small or less government. And as you move left, you prefer equal redistribution of resources. And to the right, you prefer to let free markets allocate resources unimpeded. So let's look at each quadrant's highest value first, so you can see which one you most relate to and the pros and cons of each. Authoritarian right's highest value is virtue. Pros: everyone can pursue their own ideals. Cons: me and my homies will determine what they are. Authoritarian left is equality. Pros: everyone shares equally in all the stuff. Cons: there is no stuff. Libertarian left is compassion. Pros: what's mine is yours, what's yours is mine, and we can all love each other. Cons: you hate your wife's boyfriend. Libertarian right is freedom. Pros: the rich get insanely rich, the poor just die.
Yep.
Cons: lastly, the centrist's highest value is, of course, A5 Wagyu. Pros: all that matters to him are beef and gas prices. Cons: his whole world is currently in shambles.
Yep.
In brief, auth-right is if it ain't broke for me, don't fix it. Lib-left is friendly, horny, and broke. Lib-right is temporarily embarrassed millionaires. And auth-left is everything would finally be perfect if we just got rid of that one fucked up Jenga block right at the bottom. By using the quadrants, it lets us see there's a lot more nuance to someone's political opinion than just left or right. For example, to someone on the right, everyone on the left seems the same. But libertarian left will say,
You know, communism sounds really nice. Everyone living as equals with each other, working together in harmony with the environment. I guess it just seems that while the theory is good, the execution has been really bad. Then authoritarian left would say, yeah, but often necessary. Similarly, to people on the left, the right seems all the same, but author-right will say, you know, I get that people are different and can choose to live how they want to. It's just the values of my culture are dying and all this chaos is taking over. If people just embraced how things were before, they see it just works better than this. And lib-right would say, you're so right, baby. Just unlock this video and it'll help cheer you up. The authoritarian side of the compass also gets the libertarian side confused all the time, mistaking both quadrants as woke. But see if you can catch the subtle difference. Lib-left says, I treat people nicely because they're human just like me with their own personality and preferences. Makes me sad that some people hate other people just because they don't act or look the way they think they should. Whereas lib-right just says, yep, customer's always right. The libertarian side also confuses the authoritarian side. Both want to have top-down control of how things are run and how people behave, but auth-right is much more straightforward. If they don't like what you're doing, they're going to hit you with a stick. If auth-left doesn't like what you're doing, they're going to convince everyone else that you have a stick. In contrast, if lib-left's life isn't going so well, they just adapt, complain, download Hinge, and wait for an inheritance. Whereas if lib-right's life isn't going so well, they say, no, there is a way to fight the system. Which is of course the nasal strip, buying an online marketing course, and becoming a men's motivational speaker. Because an individual's beliefs radically shape how they relate to other people, another way of understanding the compass is through how each views their ideal romantic relationship compared to how their relationships actually play out in reality. Auth-right's ideal relationship is the classic nuclear.
What is my ideal relationship? Probably none. I had to think about that for a minute. If it's not... yeah, it's mostly just none. Except maybe like, having a roommate seems like enough to me.
Your family. Nice house just outside of town, stay-at-home wife, good job, couple of kids, and a dog.
No kids.
The relationship
or
auth-right
pets.
actually gets is their third failing marriage and fourth pair of tack glasses. Or they're a virgin in their early 20s with an anime girl as their ex profile, and their main hobby.
I have a anime guy as my Discord, but it is the vampire dies in no time, so it feels more fitting since I am a bat and he is a vampire. So shut up.
Hobbies using AI to generate anthropomorphic female fighter jets. In either case, they plan to fix their life with a one-way plane ticket to Thailand and become each other's customer. Auth-left's ideal relationship is with Hassan Piker. The relationship auth-left
Let's go.
actually gets is with Hassan Piker's chair. Lib-left's ideal relationship is an open marriage in a humble off-grid cottage near a scenic mountainside where they grow their own food and make their own clothes for a small, like-minded community. This doesn't happen because lib-left doesn't have the millions of dollars it requires for a Hollywood aesthetic hobby farm. Lib-right's ideal relationship is being an 85-year-old billionaire with an harem of Instagram baddies on his mega yacht in Dubai. Haters will criticize such a transactional relationship, but while lib-right knows that girls only like him for his money, he knows they love him for his terminal heart condition. The next thing you might be wondering is what about the intersections between the quadrants? This is pretty simple because it's usually where the rubber actually meets the road in real life. In Western countries, lib-left cares about the environment, while auth-left likes federal laws forcing you to care about the environment. Center-left is what happens when you're on your third wadded-up paper straw at the movie theater, and you realize that maybe some sea turtles need to die so you can live.
Yeah.
Well, you might be thinking, okay, I'm sort of getting this compass thing. We are, of course, just scratching the surface, because a two-dimensional compass isn't enough to capture the full nuance of a quadrant's views, and you have to introduce the third dimension, which is if you're technologically progressive or regressive. For example, the bottom center on the compass is classically libertarian, believes in self-reliance, saving money, hard currency, survivalism, and only trusts non-mainstream media like Joe Rogan and the Kremlin. If you take this political view and make it technologically
and Joe Rogan has become, mainstream.
Progressive, you end up with anarcho-transhumanism, the belief that man will merge with machine and transcend to a higher form of life. Exactly, this is the Japanese trying to cope. If you take the same intersection and make it technologically regressive, you get anarcho-primitivism, or return to monk.
which is the sentiment, humans just aren't living how we're supposed to, man. While this is a bit of a
man.
self-report, when anyone actually describes fishing, hunting, gathering, and doing arts and crafts in a tribe, they think they're describing how life was as a caveman, but they're actually just describing camping. Figuring out where to put yourself on the compass can still be difficult, because even 3 dimensions is not
Progressive
enough
for
to capture
me.
the complexity of beliefs the
And
human
on
mind is
the
capable of,
left
which is why we
somewhere.
must ascend further to include your capacity to change your beliefs over time
Mm-hmm.
to avoid ever thinking you're wrong. Which means we have to go beyond the political polyhedron to the obvious next step, the political tesseract. This political tesseract cannot be pinned down to a single belief, as it's always in a quantum superposition of both support and rejection of any conceivable opinion until someone you don't like expresses their point of view and you're forced to disagree. For this reason, it's important to know the point of view of each quadrant for all the most talked about political questions so you can start filling up your debate repertoire. For example, if you asked each quadrant, should we have more gun control? Auth right says no, auth left says yes, lib left says yes, and lib right says yes.
I would say not necessarily gun control, but the, lack of guns will be nice. And this is coming from someone who has a lot in their house. If no one had any, you wouldn't really have the need for them. So, yeah.
Yes, I should have more control of guns. How would you fix the economy? Auth left would raise taxes, auth right would cut expenses, lib left would unionize, and lib right would say to another lib right, here's $100, slap me. Oh, fuck. Okay, give it back and I'll kick you in the balls.
Aw,
And everyone
man.
else would be like, holy shit, they just increased GDP by $200. Pro-choice or pro-life? Auth
Pro-choice. Definitely pro-choice. You would not want to see me raise a kid. Holy fuck. That thing would not make it.
right says pro-life, lib left says pro-choice, lib right says on-site, and auth left is checking their quotas. When should someone be able to do hormone replacement therapy?
Like, I'd say between like 18 and 20 should be like the range. Because usually it takes like a while to even get like, through the like wait list and all that. But hormone blockers obviously can be done younger because those are not permanent and those are replaceable. I mean, not replaceable, undoable. Is that the word? You can undo them. Yeah.
Auth left.
Brain not
Anyone with
brain.
approval from a medical authority can go on hormone replacement therapy at any time. Auth right. Kids shouldn't be allowed to do HRT. Lib left. I just don't want kids going through puberty knowing they wanted the body of a different gender. Lib right. I just don't want kids going through puberty.
Whack.
What do you think about free speech? Lib right says no one should.
You should have free speech, but it's not without consequences or, the law interfering with you because of something you said. Like, if you threaten certain people, you don't really have free speech. I mean, you're allowed to say it, but you're not, not trying to say anything, but
should be punished for voicing their opinion. Lib left's community note points out how other people treat you for your opinion is part of their freedom of speech. Auth right revokes your blue checkmark for violating their terms of service,
and then
auth left is taken down.
tries to changes DMs, changes the whole app because someone said something.
On your post for spreading harmful misinformation. The centrist then walks into the room and says, You better take your medication, Elon. You're arguing with yourself again. You might look at the political compass and think, man, it's crazy that people believe in so many stupid ideologies when there's really only one that's actually correct. Which is why before you wage war in the comment section, you need to know the ultimate trap card of each quadrant to make sure you don't fall into an unwinnable argument and instead probe at their weakness to appear more correct.
Lib left's trap card is the moral high ground. Their weakness is, how's your relationship with your parents? Auth left's trap card is pretending to be lib left. Their weakness is trigger words, like America is a decent country, or Mazel Tov. Lib right's trap card is the success of free market capitalism. Their weakness is how much tax have you paid in capital gains. Auth right's trap card is their collection of cherry-picked crime statistics. Their weakness is undermining their credibility with questions like dinosaurs. Were they real or just the shape of nuggets? This scares Auth right because they know what they're going to ask the shape of next. Alright, you should be well prepared to go into battle. If this video offended you, just remember there's nothing you can do about it because YouTube removed dislikes ages ago. If you try to leave a negative comment...
Well, I don't currently have the, brain is not braining. I do not have the, extension cord. The extension thing that does show you dislikes. Also, you can see them if it's your video.
You will face the full wrath of my terms and conditions.
And I also
Only
hate
positive
that,
feedback will get a cute heart.
You can't honestly ban someone from your channel. You can only hide them, which still shows them to you, just not the other people.
And most importantly, this video is brought to you by Cllart.
Cool.
As an American, you might be thinking, with what's going on in my country, I really want to move to Canada. But being unable to read Celsius or the metric system, communication would of course be impossible, and there'd be no way for you to get a local SIM card for your phone.
Absolutely.
What can you do about it? Well, with Cllart, you can download an eSIM onto your phone, giving you data coverage in over 180 different countries, meaning you can significantly reduce or entirely eliminate roaming fees.
So
you can get a global or regional plan if you plan on visiting multiple countries. This is especially helpful because not only can you avoid getting scammed or having to talk to people
it would be
in general,
nice
you
if
don't
they
run the risk of
sponsored
losing your
me,
original
'cause
SIM
I
card
want
from
to
back
do
home.
some traveling.
My last one is currently in Peru. My friend Jimmy is going on a work trip next week, and the only reason I didn't recommend Cllart to him is because he's going to Spain, so he's going to get his phone stolen anyway. If you'd like to give Cllart a try, you can scan the QR code on your phone.
There you go. I hope you enjoyed this video. Try and keep the comments peaceful. If you want to leave a comment, make sure to check out his video down below. And until next time, bye bye.